I'm going to start off by showing you a series of images and you tell me what they remind you of, okay? Here's the first one, here's another, and lastly, here's one more. Aren't they picturesque? Believe it or not, these aren't palaces, monuments, or forts, but colleges. Ever walked into a college campus and felt like you stumbled into an era that has passed by? From the Gothic architecture, to the grand facades, to the stone detailings, pointed archways, reminiscent of the past, could easily trick you into thinking that you've hopped into a time machine. But it's not just the architecture that's reminiscent of the past. It's the whole system. I mean, we're talking about a college experience that seems to have hit pause somewhere in the history books. It's high time we give this vintage college system of ours a run for its money and give it its own revolutionizing period. Where should I embark on unraveling the mysteries of this antiquated and downright old school college system of ours? I'm going to start off with an obvious and a controversial one, the legacy system. Damn, if my parents were ever so smart and ever so privileged to have been an alumnus of an Ivy school, I would have not given any thought or originality to my test scores, my GPA or my extracurriculars. Life, it would have been so simple. But wait, my parents didn't go to an Ivy school. They didn't go to any college for that matter. Am I in a challenging situation? Many schools and many colleges in the West follow the legacy system, where they give preferential treatment to applicants who have familial ties to the alumni of the institution. Meaning, if your parents, grandparents or siblings attended said institution, you get a huge advantage. I mean, I don't know about you, but that seems kinda unfair, doesn't it? Joan Casey, a certified educational planner, states the following: legacy applicants have to be somewhat in the ballpark when it comes to test scores, grades and GPA. What do you mean by somewhat in the ballpark? Should I work hard or slack off? That just goes to justify my point of legacy applicants having it relatively simpler when it comes to applications, whereas many regular students are spending their hard money on putting their mental health at stake and spending days and nights just worrying about. These were just words. Let's look at some statistics. Naviance, a tool from Hobson's, has data on over 15,402 legacy applicants from the high school classes of 2014 to 2017 in its database. Now, considering only about 64 colleges with 100 or more applicants, the results are shocking. The results show much higher admit rates for legacy applicants. Are we surprised? Amongst these colleges, the acceptance rate was 31% higher than what was published for the general public. Let's understand this better with an example. Let's take a college that has an acceptance rate for the general public of 4%, and the data from this study, we got 31 right, so that's 31 plus 4. That's a whopping 35% of acceptance rate. That huge change in number is scary. Enough of the age-old legacy system, because trust me, there's a lot more unfairness happening under the shadows, especially for the underprivileged ones. Ever heard of a little trick called buying your way in? Now, I'm not talking about buying a VIP pass to a concert. I'm talking about literally buying the tickets to the towers of academia. Picture this: a fat donation, a prestigious college, and voila, you're in. If any member of your family donated a huge ton of money to a college, you're basically in. Are the perks of being a billionaire. You know what's funny though is, there actually exists a term for people who get admitted via this method. Do you know what they're called? They're called a development case. Let's break it down. The term development case refers to children of important donors or potential donors who get an even more substantial advantage than legacies. But you might be wondering, why do colleges accept development cases over more qualified applicants? Well, it's quite simple. The college wants to protect its endowments and make it better. And you know what that requires? Money. And you become their asset. While we're on the topic of money, international students bring diversity, fresh perspective, and a global outlook onto colleges. But the cost of foreign education comes at a staggering cost ranging from ancillary costs, tuition fees, and housing expenses, which create a lot of financial burden onto the students and their families. I mean, the situation is so ridiculous that if you don't end up getting a scholarship, financial aid, or a full ride, you wound up paying the full fees, and it costs you a fortune. We must recognize that education is a bridge to success, growth, and empowerment. But the current system is disabling talented and young individuals from crossing over and becoming their best selves. Get good grades in your 10th and 12th, and pass the entrance exams. With good marks, that is. This is what I've seen come out of people whenever the topic of education or getting into college was on the line. I mean, are grades everything? Does a piece of paper truly decide my future? Do I not have anything else to offer? Many colleges and universities in Asia and Europe follow the merit system. That means your application is solely based on how you perform in school and the very competitive entrance exams. Academic achievements alone do not reflect the diverse skills, potentials, and talents individuals bring to the table. Talents, skills cannot be measured in the confines of examination halls. We must recognize that true merit extends beyond exams. Enough of this. We've talked about the legacy system. We've talked about getting admitted. We've talked about the influence of wealth. But let's dig deep and see what happens inside an actual classroom of a college. Many colleges are run by a very outdated teaching method of lectures. I mean, we all know how boring and non-interactive lectures can get. From the large classroom size, to the inconvenience of asking doubts, to the less interactive nature of the whole thing, and the ease of getting distracted. Many students prefer and are well equipped with different teaching methods, which are much more interactive and way less crowded, allowing them to grasp everything with a personal experience. A study published in Science Advances in 2019 has data on a study published in Science Advances in 2019 compared the students' performances in traditional lectures versus that in classrooms using interactive techniques, such as clicker questions, small group discussions, and just guess what? The small group outperformed the traditional lecture group. Are we surprised? With the evolving world, it is very important to evolve the teaching methods as well to ensure that every student can grasp all the knowledge that they get in the classrooms and go on to use them in the real world. Because many things that are taught in classrooms are just lost after leaving them, and they carry no use to the real world. It's essential to equip these students with knowledge and skills that they can put to use. They can use to stand up, stand out, and use in the real world. We've delved into the legacy system. We've delved into the influence of wealth. We've seen the limitations of a purely merit-based system and the outdated teaching methods within our classrooms. It's quite evident that our educational institutions need a makeover. I say we imagine a future where every student, regardless of their background, has the equal opportunity to shine. A future where a future where education is not just about getting degrees, but about conquering life. Thank you. And here's to a future where Here's to a future where education is not just about doing well in exams, but creating a generation ready to conquer the world.